Hi there, this is Azam, and today I'm going to recreate a scene from Tales' recent video. And basically, I want to show how I would approach a project like this and how I will set up the scene and the effects used in this video and the glow and the different kinds of magical techniques used in the video. The whole pre-production process and post-production process. And hopefully you will learn a lot from it, and I'm excited to begin. So let's go. We start by creating a map comp. Let's import the video that we are going to deconstruct or reverse engineer. This is how long the scene will be. So this is our scene. What I need to figure out first is that how much I need the map overall. If you see this video, we get a bit idea of how maxed zoom out this map is. So this is how we are going to do that. So let's hide this layer and do a max zoom out. I will set a keyframe to bring out the zoom, and right now it is at 2, and I'm going to decrease this value to something like 0.5 and maybe a bit more like 0.3. For the background, I'm going to use a texture image that I downloaded from Texture Lab. I will be sharing the link down below for this. So this is my texture, and let's bring it below. And to match it with the background of the original video, what I'm going to do is that apply two things. First, a radial gradient ramp to it, and let's choose these are the colors that I'm going to use. And it's going to be a radial ramp. Next thing that I'm going to use is a grid. So this is the grid I'm going to use. Let's change it first to size form to a width slider. Set the width to something like 42 and border to 2 and opacity to something like 30 and blending mode to overlay. So this is our basic background. Let's save the project. So the background is ready, and next we need to decide how much the map we are going to need in the original scene. Right now we are not seeing the whole map for some reasons. To see the whole map, we're going to this 3 bars and settings and repair the expression and purge image cache. So now we have our map, and now we are going to apply a mask or matte to it. So for this video, what I have decided is that I need map from this point to something like this. So this is how long our matte will be. So now I'm going to create a shape first. Let's apply some fill. Doesn't matter the color because we are not going to need a color. Let's decrease the size a bit first because right now it's too long, and yeah, I think this will work. And let's adjust the position. Let's rename this as matte and apply it to this map comp. So we have our basic map, and I think we can decrease its height maybe a bit more. This will work for us. So next is something about parenting the layers to each other, and so that all of these things are reactive to our GeoLayers camera. So first we are going to parent this background to the map comp anchor, and we are going to make it 3D, and for the matte, for now we are going to parent it to the map comp anchor, but we are going to change this soon as we get into our animation. So right now our max zoom out is set. Next we are going to create a guide layer for our vertical version so that we don't miss any key element from our video when it is in its vertical version. So let's again come to here, rectangular tool, and double click here to create a shape, and go to properties, change its size to 1080 1920, decrease the size. 56 scale works for me, and I'm going to bring a stroke to it and change the fill to none, and change the color of the stroke to something like this, and change the shape layers type to guide layer, and let's rename it as guide and lock this layer. And next we are going to create the dark scene for the video and set our first frame for the final version of the video. Create a new map comp, name it as scene 2, and keep the other settings same, and link the view to map comp. Select our map. The map that we are going to use for the second scene is in CartoDB, and the dark matter no label type you're going to select, and yeah, this is what we're going to create. So again, apply the matte to this, also copy the same matte that we applied to the first map comp, and just drag the scene 2 to this matte like this. So we have our second track matte, and now we are going to parent the first matte to the second scene anchor. One thing to remember is that all the mattes that are going to be created in this whole scene will be parented to the scene 2 anchor, because this is our main anchoring scene that will anchor the first part of the video and the final part of the video for this particular scene. Next we are going to stylize this scene 2 a bit by applying drop shadow and the stroke like we see in the original video. Let's apply these things and select scene 2. Go to layer styles from layers and apply stroke, and then apply the drop shadow. These are the settings that I'm going to use. You can copy mine or use your whatever you like. And opacity, we are going to decrease it to something like 60. What we really focus while creating these things is to maintain the subtlety. For the start we have a stroke, but we're going to remove it a little bit later. So let's now fix where the matte scene 2 starts. So let's see the original video. So it starts appearing for somewhere around here. So we are going to just need this part. So we're going to start the second part here, and the first part will be there. So let's make sure all the scenes are parented and linked to each other, and just to make sure that the camera is reactive to all the elements so far created in the composition, we're going to check it by going to somewhere like here. As you can see, everything is reacting to the camera perfectly. This is exactly what we needed. So next what we are going to do is that create our first camera animation and disappear the text, do an outro on the text, prepare the basic skeleton of the camera movements in the whole scene. So let's bring these two guides to the top, and let's see how the camera goes and how far it goes. So this is our starting zoom out, and camera goes to somewhere here. So we are going to take this as our reference point, and this is our final zoom out, and it is to somewhere around here. Let's disappear this and zoom out to this point. Let's decrease the zoom to something like 0.8 and see if it works for us. Okay, let's try parenting this last to the scene 1 map anchor and see if how it reacts. Yeah, this is good. And so this is our position. Let's see if it's as accurate as no, we need a further zoom. Let's decrease the zoom to 0.3. So I will just keep playing until I get perfection here. This is our zoom, and if you see, it rotates after that a bit like this. So what we can do is that bring our rotation here and make it rotate a bit. And there is also increase in the zoom. So this is me preparing the basic skeleton of the camera movement for the whole scene. So this is what we have so far now. So for this one, I think there is only one value that is used for this particular movement, and that value is latitude. So this here is a zoom out and a little bit bearing angle change. Our basic skeleton of the video is ready. For disappearing the text, first what we're going to need to do is that apply an ease out on the zoom out. Like this. And see how it looks, and do sort of match cut for the last text to this zoom out. Like this. Might not need to do an ease out, we might need to do a more ease, simple ease, like this. Let's see how it looks. Yeah, it looks fine. And we're going to match the disappearance of the text with this peak of the graph. And this is our text, and we're going to do two animations to it. We're going to animate the scale, and press Shift and P, you will bring the position, and we're going to do for both of them. And apply an ease out on both of them. If we apply as ease out on both of them, the graph will look like this, and yeah, this is our animation will look like. It should start disappearing at this point. There is a curve to the disappearance. We don't want a curve. I think this looks nice. So this is our skeleton and the starting text. In the next part, we are going to create these straight 24 lines that appear, this text that appears, and then this bluish, sky bluish outlay that appears below the lines. So to start with, we need a straight map to draw the lines. What we need to do first is that if you see the original video, there is a stroke to start with on the map, but once the map is complete, there is no stroke. So we need to make the stroke disappear. How we can do that is once the transition is complete, wipe transition is complete, we can apply a opacity fade out scene to the stroke of the mat. So you will go to the scene, go to the stroke and go to opacity, and let's hide this. And now we have another problem. There's a overlapping of both the map comp layers of scene 1 and scene 2. For solving that, what we can do is that increase the scale size of the scene 2 to make sure that the layer below doesn't overlap with it. We only need to make sure that in this part there is no overlap. For the outside part, it's fine. Okay, for the lines, as I was saying, we need the map straight to make sure that the lines are straight. We can again delete these keyframes, but we need the map straight right now. So let's draw one line. Change the color. Let's rename these two lines. First thing we need to do is that before moving anything, once the line is drawn, make it a 3D and parent it to the scene 2 anchor. And now it will be reactive to the map comp like this. What we need this line is to cover the whole screen of this map, like we see in the final scene like this. For the animation, what we are going to do is that apply whatever the animation is, like the end of a trim path, apply trim path and animate the end like this. Select the keyframes F9 and then ease out like this. So our ease out path is ready, and now what we are going to need, make it a group shape. So for creating the 24 lines, what we are going to do is that copy the first one and just duplicate it and add 25 points to the position like this, and again copy it So the lines are ready, and next what we're going to need to do is drag this to 3-second marks, and for the effect, the pop out effect, we are going to drag these keyframes to a bit forward like this. So now if you see in the vertical version, we have something like this. Okay. We might need to decrease the latitude for this bit. Okay, now we have a little bit issue here. The edges of the lines are popping out of the map comp. Make sure to do accurate drawing of the line to start with. But now what we can do is that apply a trim path to the overall and decrease the start to a point or like 1.0.4. So this should fix it. Okay, our line animation is ready. Next we are going to do the text, the 24-hour zone. So let's first see how long the text is. So it starts appearing somewhere around here. So yeah, this is fine, I think. Let's apply the convert it to 3D and parent it to the scene to anchor. For the animation of the start, I'm going to use a preset from Animation Composer plugin. You can download this plugin, it's free. I will go to the text presets and choose this, decrease the tracking amount to 30. Tracking amount is still, I think, a bit much, and there is also an issue that the anchor point is to the left, therefore the text is coming out of the red zone that we marked. So I will change the anchor point to center and bring the position to the center like this, and change the rotation a bit and change the original position. So this is what we have. Okay, the last thing is this segment is this sky bluish overlay that appears along with the time zone text. So for that I'm just going to copy the matte of the scene 2 and bring it to the top. Let's bring these guide layers to the top, lock them. For the matte, I'm going to parent it to the scene 2 anchor, and let's decrease its size, and this is its overall part in the video. And let's change this to sky bluish color. This works for me. Turn this on. So this is the overlay, and let's apply an effect. Let's decrease the opacity a bit to 70%. And change the mode to add and apply a deep glow, and change the settings in the deep glow to 150 or 0.40. Let's apply a drop shadow to the So this is a bit too much, I think. Let's decrease the exposure to 0.1 and apply a fade out and in millisecond transition and change the duration to 300 frames. Let's add an adjustment layer. Yeah, so sometimes the 3D layers overlap, and how you can fix it is adding an adjustment layer between them. So let's keep the opacity at 50. Okay, so the mat is overlapping again. What we can do is that decrease its size a bit. I think this works. So this is what we have so far. Next we are going to create this shimmer effect that appears on the lines. For that I will just duplicate the lines layer and cut it to the amount that we need from here to here. And next let's just work for a while on these lines, but before working on the shimmer, I think the background could use a bit of work. Let's go back to the shimmer. Let's rename it to shimmer and let's work alone on it for a while. So we are going to animate first two things here. First we are going to apply we are going to delete all these layers. We are not gonna need them. We will only need this shape and maybe this trim file. We don't need the end. And next what we are going to do is that apply add from here as repeater. The trim path should be at 20%. Like this. And maybe we need to change a bit stroke style here, like this. Yeah, I think this is our stroke style. And let's make 25 copies. And let's make sure the shimmer lines appear on the original lines. So we'll bring back the original lines, and just before that let's apply a glow effect to the shimmer like this, and then bring back the lines, and make sure the shimmer applies on the lines. We are going to play with the position of the repeater from transform and like this. Okay, so as we had made 25 copies, so the position should be at 25, and now our shimmers are aligned. We will see in the future if we needed 25, but right now let's keep it at 24. Now we are going to animate two things here. First we are going to the start, and let's animate the start to something like 30%. Let's offset it 1 or maybe less than 1. We will see. Let's keep the end at 0. So this is how it's going to look. Animate the end from here to 30% and bring back the, let's keep it at somewhere around 250 degree. Yeah, so these are the settings for the shimmer that worked for me. And let's ease all of them. I think it looks fine. So yeah, these are the settings for the shimmer that works for me. Next we are going to create the most important shot in the scene, the strokes of time zones, and then the fill of time zones that appear. And for that I have already worked on, and I won't be working from scratch on them, and I will be using some templates that I previously worked on. But the process is that you download a time zone feature from here, and the problem with these time zone is that they are different. First you have to merge all the same ones like that and create a shape like this, and then merge here feature, and then draw the feature once you have merged all the 24 time zones. I have merged them all, done the work, and created a JSON file which you can download. I will link it in the description. And this is the time zone file that I have created, and I have separated all the time zones like that. Okay, next we are going to do a match cut of these straight lines disappearing and the time zones stroke lines appearing. So for that I'm going to download time zones and draw them as stroke by using this feature. Right now it has drawn for 3 maps, but we are going to just need one, the left and right ones, and we are going to just use this one. Let's rename this as time zone stroke. Let's decrease the stroke to 1. Okay, now the problem we face is that there is a misalignment of the line stroke and time zone stroke. We can't do a perfect match cut until there is this mismatch. So what we can do is that we can do a position animation and bring these lines, straight lines, to align them with the time zone strokes. For that I'm going to open the position on lines, and as the time zone strokes start appearing, they align with them. So we will first align them. Yeah, this works for me. And next we are going to separate this layer out and apply a mask animation to it. So first let's draw a mask on this. So this is the final position of the time zone strokes, and we are going to animate the path of the mask and the mask feather. But right now let's start with the mask path. This is the final position. Let's bring it all the way here. So this is how our basic animation might look. At the start the mask should be completely invisible. So for that let's make sure that these two pointers are completely aligned. Just to make it more accurate, let's apply opacity here. I think this works. Now let's do a match cut with the lines of these lines appearing and the straight lines disappearing. It's time to animate the collective trim path of these lines that we created. So this is the trim path. What we are going to do is that apply a simple exit animation to it. Let's see it works. Okay, we have our start animation. Let's easy ease this one and make sure it matches the incoming of the time zone strokes. I think this is good for now. So this is how it looks. Let's also apply a fade out here. Oops, not on this layer, but on the lines, straight lines. Okay, we need a time zone at this point, because if you see in the original video we have a time zone here also, and for the time zone we will simply just copy it and drag it to here. Make sure it is on the exact line. Okay, we should parent the shimmer to the straight lines so that we don't have this problem. So let's go back and parent the shimmer to lines. The problem is happening because of the position keyframe that we applied. Let's decrease the opacity of both of these to somewhere around 80. We have our time zone strokes match cut ready, and next we are going to do a fill of the time zones, fade in. So for the colorful fill of time zones, you can just go there and select a fill feature and draw the time zones like this. But it's a very tedious process to change color in all of them. I will link a clip where I am changing the colors, and I have already worked on a template. I will be using the template, and this is a template. So I will just copy this one color, and I have changed all the color of the 24 time zones, and I will be using them. this works for me. And now that our time zone strokes and fill layers are ready and the animations, all of them are applied, what we can do is that pre-compose them and apply a whole mask on it so that it doesn't overlap or go outside the boundaries of our map comp. So for that, I'm going to first select all of my comps that I'm going to pre-comp or make a group out of, and remove them from the parent anchor. And then I'm going to pre-compose them, and now again I'm going to create a 3D layer out of the pre-comp and parent it to the scene anchor. Now I will just copy this mat and apply it on our pre-comp. Let's see. We don't need the scale anymore. Let's cut its size and let's rename our pre-comp to Timezones and track mat to mat 4. Now as you can see, our strokes have a little bit faded out, and to fix that I will go here and to the opacity here and increase the opacity to 100. Next we are going to create another shimmer for this time zones layer that we created, and for that I'm not going to reuse these time zone strokes, although you can do that. I will apply a different technique of using light sweep effect. I will create an adjustment layer and search for a light sweep, and next I'm going to change the settings here, width to 60, intensity to 43, and edge intensity to 61, and thickness to 19. So this is something that we have, and I will change the direction to -90 and the shape to smooth. And now I'm going to animate this. Let's say I'm going to animate it, the direction, the center from this point and to this point. I will make sure it goes down like this. So we have something like this. Okay. Maybe we need a bit angle change. Next we are going to animate the international dateline and the arrow that comes in the scene. For that I'm going to straighten the map first. So let's do this value 0. Make sure they are not on any already placed keyframe. Just draw them randomly anywhere. The purpose is just to get the map straight. So next we are going to draw the line with a pen tool. Let's end the fill and increase the stroke to 2. So our line is ready basically. So I will just make it 3D and pair it to the scene 2 anchor, and we will call it as ideal, and remove these keyframes. So let's quickly animate this one. So line is ready, and next to add a glow below this line, We will just make a copy of this line, and to the below line I will just go to properties, change the stroke color to red, and apply a deep glow. So this is how basically the line is created. And next I'm going to do an animation on an arrow. For the arrow I will again use animation composer. One thing I forgot to add is that you don't directly when you make a new composition or you import a composition from the animation composer plugin, you don't just directly parent it to the scene anchor. It will create some issues. What you have to do is that create a control for that composition first. Like I'm going to create this null object, and bring it below the time zones like this. Yeah, so right now it's straight, and I will just undo this, make a 3D out of the null layer, and pair it the time zones to the null layer and the null layer to the scene anchor. So this is how I like to go about the new compositions that I create. Similarly, now that we have imported an arrow from the animation composer, we will decrease its size but we won't use it as it is. We can, but we will use a control for the arrow. It should be like this, arrow control and to the scene anchor. So this is how I'd like to go about these things. Now we are going to animate the position and the rotation on Z dimension for this arrow. We are going to apply an ease out animation at the end, so, and ease in on the start of position. So it should look something like this, and now we are going to add an international dateline text to it. So for the last part, we will be doing a wipe in transition like the one we did at the start, but in reverse. So for that, all we have to do is get back to our scene 2 mat. We will be just using these keyframes but in reverse. So let's just add a keyframe here. Let's do the final camera movement. As the line appears, there is a decrease in the opacity of the time zones. So this is exactly what we will be doing here too. We will go to the time zones, a bit here, and let's decrease the opacity to 50%, like this. So what we have is something like this. Let's bring back the stroke opacity that we decreased earlier for the matte of the scene too. So now I'm just gonna make some adjustment to it, and this is basically it. Lastly, I might just need to decrease the opacity on the time zones further from 50 to 0, like this, and do it fast so it doesn't really matter, like this. So this is how the final version looks. So I will be just doing some minor adjustments, but this is basically it. So this was it for the video. Thank you for watching. If you have any doubts, questions or problems while trying to recreate this, let me know in the comments and I will try my best to answer them as clearly as I can. And yeah, I will see you next time. Bye.
The Earth is divided into 24 main time zones, but their lines aren't perfectly straight. They bend and twist to follow the borders of countries and regions. And this line is known as the International Date Line, the place where